If you're looking to get your family out there camping, but you don't necessarily want to give up your daily driving vehicle, like maybe you've got a tow package mid-size pickup or a bigger SUV or even a lighter duty half-ton, because not all half-tons are made for 12,000 pounds, that's kind of where this one comes in right here. This model is about 23 foot tip to tail. It comes in under 6,000 pounds, assuming fully loaded with max cargo. So generally speaking, you're going to be towing lighter than that. But it also has a big true U dinette slide. Now what that means is it gives you extra living space to kind of get through those unexpected rainy days while still providing sleeping for anywhere from 3 to 4 to maybe 5 or 6 people, depending on how you rack, pack, and stack them inside of here. And despite the fact that this is a smaller camper, it's basically a fuller featured camper in a smaller package. It's a full-size body, it's extra tall, has a full-size air conditioner, actually does have a propane furnace that many small campers do omit, that a lot of first-time campers don't even know to look for. Even things like a handy little camp convenience center over here, all encased under the power awning, plus a factory standard solar package to keep your battery tended up. The goal is to be simple, fun, easy, compact, mobile, and it nails every one of those. Now, out on the campsite of the RV, where you're out here making those family memories, letting the kids get dirty and letting them get into just a little bit of trouble, but not too much. One of the first things I want to draw your attention to is how we put the biggest power awning on here with LED lighting that we possibly could. If you look around the RV marketplace, when you start getting into smaller single axles, especially bunkhouses, it seems to be a race to the bottom on the price tags. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to spend any more than I have to. I don't spend my money any differently than you do. But I want to see something for it. I want to have something to show for it. And I can't imagine a situation which you would regret having a larger patio awning for your family. More shaded space, more room for your picnic table, more room for the dogs, you know. This is also an easy tilt power awning right here. 2 fingers, you can pull this awning arm down and you see how it has a little bit of a level plane to it now. That is going to be helpful for those light, drizzly days where you still want to be able to maximize your space and give you a little more room inside and outside of the camper. But if you forget that it's cranked like this and you roll it up, it will actually sort itself right back out. You can fully retract the awning arm like this, and when it comes back out next time, it'll be flat as when we began here. Now you notice too, we included the full-length LED lighting under this to really give you all the opportunity to enjoy your RV possible, even into those evening hours. And remember, the table on the inside of the camper sometimes can very easily be pivoted outside the camper. And in a smaller RV, anything that you can make dual purpose becomes absolutely worth its weight in gold, because you don't always have all the space in this to carry extra things, extra picnic tables. It's great that one object can do 2 jobs potentially. And back here, so much of our Wayfinder RV lineup was really sort of voted for by the audience effectively. We have so many people that we've done so much business with over the years. We asked them, all right, camping crowd, do you like a camp kitchen or do you like just storage? And we kept getting such a 50-50 even mix that we came up with a 50-50 even mix of things right here. First of all, it begins with a cold water sprayer port over here, and this is all included with the camper. What's really handy about this is having it this close to the door. If the kids have been running around, if they got dirty feet, whatever, before they go stomping through your whole camper, you can just give them a little quick rinse and you're good to go. But a lot of people said the one thing they really love in their camp kitchen is the fridge. So we did make sure to include what I call Dad's medicine cabinet. This is where you can keep the barley water, the bottled water, maybe the hug juice barrels, maybe a couple cold snacks out here, you know. Again, the idea being making it a convenient location that avoids needing to go in and out of the camper for every single object. Now, some campers will have a built-in grill or griddle, but I've been doing this about 16 years, and one of the most common things that I've heard is people say, I don't need that, I have my own grill, I like mine better, it's already seasoned, whatever the case might be. So instead of building that in, we just included a big extra storage drawer right here, and this is actually really handy for like your picnic table covers, the little clips that hold the picnic table cover on the picnic table, all that little stuff right here. There's always something really useful you can do in a big outside drawer like this. But one of the things that's really easy to miss is how we included this extra little power outlet in this pocket right here. One of the things you might notice on the Go Play campers is we do not have an integrated stereo system with an outside speaker setup, and that is completely by intent. Once again, we asked the audience, what do you think about outside speakers on campers? And the resounding answer was, we don't like them. Basically, the audience said they don't sound great, they don't work very well, we don't like how often they have failed on us in the past, so we've completely removed that, and people have said, I have my own Bluetooth speaker I can bring with me. Perfect spot to keep that plugged in right here in your little camp convenience center, as I like to call it. Now, in terms of all the systems and utilities and odds and ends on the RV, I actually want to begin up here in your front storage compartment because there's a couple things I want to point out. First of all, the fact that it actually has a light. If you start looking at a lot of smaller bunkhouse campers like this, it's incredible how many you literally can't even see in the front cargo area. Now, the big black box that you were looking at, that's your solar charge controller. And the thing with the red switch is your battery disconnect. The important thing on the solar charge controller is kind of twofold. First of all, its location. We have a system at Bish's RV that we call RV Fix, and basically it's a massive service platform for customers. We track all the data. One of the things that we found by interviewing our own techs internally is that is the best location for a charge controller for quickly resolving service issues. It's accessible, we don't have to peel apart cabinetry, you don't have to tear into your roof. It's just there and it's easy. And it's a 30 amp controller. That's going to come in handy in just a second here, because up on the roof of the RV, we have a 200 watt factory standard solar package. When you are in trailers this size, in this budget range, some of them have some kind of solar package, some don't. Some of them have a 50 or 80 watt package, maybe 100. We decided to go with the 200 watt package. It might cost a couple bucks more, but it will be a far more effective battery tender for you to provide also a little bit more extended, kind of untethered off-grid sort of camping. But back to that 30 amp controller. That means it can accept a second one of those panels. So whether you want to DIY it or ask us to do it ourselves, you could put this up to a 400 watt solar package without ever getting into any wiring. Simple and easy, also way less expensive. Now back here on the kind of, camp utility side of the trailer, first thing I want to point out is up in the wheel wells. This is something that you can check out in person when you get a chance to see one of these. We actually do have a wheel well guard in there for a couple reasons. And this sounds crazy, but not every camper does, especially when you're in the really budget sensitive sector like this. If you have a blowout, it's literally just an armored shell protecting your RV. And I've been doing this a long time. At least once a year, I've seen an RV get totaled just from a tire blowout. That's just an awful way to part with your camper. The other thing is if you're towing when the ground is wet, it keeps all of that spray from seeping up into your dinette or whatever else it is. This floor plan also has a really handy benefit of being a single sewer outlet kind of camper right here. So you don't have to, move the hookups around, and it just simplifies your experience so much more because you're here to have fun. You're not here to worry about hooking up a bunch of sewer things. Now, as we work our way in the back of the camper, I want to draw your attention to the taillights. It's a little thing, but it's also a big thing. It doesn't look like much during the day, but the little white sector here, that's actually a reverse travel element. Just like in your vehicle, when you shift into reverse, your camper is also going to have reverse lights. So if you're pulling into a site in the morning, in the evening, you can actually see what's going on back here, whether you have a spotter or you're utilizing the backup camera prep we have at the top of the RV. It's just simple plug and play. And I'm not a great person with tools. If I can do that, I feel confidently you probably could too. You may also notice the prep bracket up here for a telescopic removable ladder. That again is one of those things you really got to look for. This does have a snow load walkable roof. So Midwestern residents like myself, we get one of those big heavy snow winters. You don't got to worry about getting up there and shoveling snow off your RV and maybe snagging your roof liners. Just not a problem you got to worry about. Two more things. First of all, again, it sounds silly, but not everything in this class is going to include a spare tire. Some brands include them. Some brands do it optionally, and some just don't. And I hope you never need this thing, but it's kind of like cough medicine. I hope you got it when you do need it. You're going to be really glad that you do. And finally down here, the water heater. We have retained a more classic gas and electric water heater on these because it really seems to satisfy both the park camping crowd and the dispersed boondock camping crowd in the way that they work. And one of the cool things is it's a fast recharge model. You can run gas and electric simultaneously and get close to 18 gallons of hot water per hour. And when you're talking a bunkhouse model with a lot of bodies that need to run through that shower potentially, that's useful. So as you first step in the RV, The biggest takeaway that I have when I walk in here is, despite the fact that this is a smaller, lighter, compact camper, it doesn't feel compact in here. Now, there's a couple things that are kind of helping us with that. First of all, we do have a sort of Murphy sofa bed arrangement right here, and it's sort of pushing the living room area further up into the nose of the RV. But because of that, we're sort of getting the seating and the space of a full super slide RV in something that is way too small to actually have a super slide RV. Now, we're kind of showing the dinette in more of a lounge mode here. We're going to come back to that in a minute and explain all the different functions that you have with this. But another major factor on this model is, again, it's a full-size camper in a smaller length. And what we did here is we maintained a full traditional 8-foot wide body, but we still gave it an extra tall 6'9" ceiling. Nearly nothing on a single axle has anything more than a 6.5-foot ceiling. Some campers have as low as a 6'1" sidewall. I'm 6'1" flat-footed, plus the shoes I'm wearing. I mean, some campers I literally wouldn't be able to walk around in, nor would I be able to walk under the air conditioner. The extra size that we put in here, it does add a little bit of weight, but it greatly expands the overall sense of space you get. It adds extra storage capacity, bigger kitchen cabinets, a taller shower, more space between the bunks, and the light color palette really keeps it open and airy inside. And despite the small size of this camper, by having this Murphy sofa and the big slide, it creates a surprisingly spacious living area where this is really nice. Is not for the everyday general use where you're out there outside on your patio having fun, riding bikes with the kids or anything like that. When you are stuck inside for an extended period of time, whether it's an extra hot day and you just need to get away from the heat, or if it's a rainy day and you got to spend some time inside, all the room that we have in here as a result of the sort of Murphy sofa area really opens up the space. It gives everyone a little bit of their own privacy room. But one of the cool things here is how the big, true U-shaped dinette also can contribute to the living experience. Because nothing says this has to be a dinette all the time. In a pinch, or by choice, you can always take the table out of the way and use this in what I like to call open lounge mode. And this immediately adds so much open sense of space to the RV. One of the other cool things about doing this right here is if you do choose to add a television to this RV, this absolutely gives you one of the best angles to enjoy your entertainment. Again, really handy for getting through those rainy days. Now, having a big kitchen in a small camper is always a challenge. But we want to do everything we possibly could to put all the big appliances, all the storage, everything that you will reasonably need every day for a camper like this inside here. I will say, it's being fair, it's limited on prep space. That's one of the areas where maybe the dining table or an outdoor picnic table can kind of help you offset some of that. But what we have going on here, we have the 2-burner high output stovetop. One of the reasons I want to stress that is both of these burners are actually capable of getting water boiling. A 3-burner stovetop, the back 2 really can't. We did leave you a little extra strip of counter space back here. There's not a lot of appliance area, but we wanted to make sure we still had those power outlets. And that's one of the reasons we included the stovetop cover, depending on what you need. If you need to bring a coffee maker out, put a coffee maker away, whatever the case might be. Now, when it comes to the sink, we asked the audience. We talked to experienced RVers. We said, what do you want? And basically they said, there's no such thing as a sink that's too big. So we've outfitted this with the larger farm style sink where you can actually get bigger pots and pans in. But that does mean you essentially have no counter space. And that's also one of the reasons we wanted to make sure we included for you the dual piece sink cover where you have the dish drying rack and the cutting board cover right here. In conjunction with the stovetop cover, you walk in with a couple handfuls of groceries. You actually have space to set down, get organized, and then get everything packed away. You don't have to kind of leave it strewn all over the RV, which is no fun. You ever sit on a box of Twinkies? I have. Don't recommend it. And again, it's the little things here. It's not that this is the reason you'd want to purchase this RV versus something else. It's just the combination of a lot of things. This isn't the only camper that has a high-rise faucet. But in little RVs like this, actually still getting the sprayer faucet just to make the cleanup thing one less bit of a headache, little stuff like that makes a big difference. Now from there, I kind of want to go through and showcase for you all the storage space. Now, so that you know your cabinetry here is pocket screwed lumber core with hardwood cabinet door frames here. You might notice how we have the hidden hinges and magnet catches on this just to kind of really class it up and just give it a cleaner look overall. And with the taller ceiling, this is much larger here. Like if you have those big pitchers for like sun tea or sweet tea, or the big family size cereal bags and boxes, you can actually fit that in there. This is a straightforward residential size microwave, hot pockets, meals in a hurry. And I don't know about you, but like my nephews, man, they're eating machines. I don't know if that's been your experience with your family. So we did outfit this with a full 10.7 cubic foot 12 volt compressor fridge. It's the biggest fridge we could possibly shove into a little camper like this. Separate lower freezer section. I like how this is down here low on this floor plan where it's nice and easy for the kids to get to the popsicles. You know what I mean? But I've never seen a camper with too much food storage for my nephews, but that's just sort of been my experience. Now, something a lot of little campers tend to be missing is just a place for silverware. And under the stovetop, we had room for two like full residential sized drawers here. So even if it's not just forks, spoons, and knives, if it gives you a spot to put things like spatulas or flashlights or any of that stuff, we have it. And tell me one day you go camping where you don't need to put something in a trash can. Why more campers don't have a dedicated trash can space is absolutely beyond me, but that's not a problem we wanted you to experience here. Now, in case you're curious what's going on inside here, that's where your water pump is located, so it's easy to access for winterizing and bypass purposes, but we did kind of partition it off so cargo doesn't shift and smash it. But where do you eat? Well, that, again, is where this space can serve multiple purposes. You can take the table out. It can be a nice open lounge area. It can open up the space. It can give everybody a place to kind of kick back and maybe, spend a few minutes on their phones. Or you can wrap the whole family around the table, have a bite to eat right here. And little things like this, the little cutting board cover also can very quickly work as like a little serving tray as well. That's what's so important about RVs like this, where everything can do more than one thing. But also, remember, you do have this fold-down sleeper dinette, and it's what I call a true U dinette. One of the reasons I like to refer to it that way is that it actually can fit a big adult-sized person like me. Now, 2 adults is going to be tricky, and 2 kids, they're probably going to end up knocking each other off the dinette at night, but this is a pretty good-sized sleeper. What's cool, though, is we still have some bonus storage down below this one. In the back side of the dinette and on the front side of the dinette, you actually do have some storage cavities right there, and they drop down for easy access. What kind of throws people sometimes, though, is when you come to the back of the dinette, you see what looks like an extra cabinet space. Well, when you open this up, there's nothing there. That's because this size of floor plan, the wheel well sticks up above the floor, and it comes directly under the dinette. If you look at the slide out from the outside, it has a funny little notch on the bottom. That's because we need to give the wheels places to go, and effectively, we just had to close it off. Now, when it comes to sleeping capacity, it begins right up here in the front of the RV. Right now, we have it in open daytime lounge mode, but real quick and easy, it just folds right down into a Camp Queen bed. And if you're a little bit taller like me, I recommend taking this side where you're not right next to the little dresser area, because then your feet can hang off the bed a little bit. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm always worried about the little guys that live under the bed that chew your toes when your feet stick out, but hey, that's just my adventure. Maybe it's not yours. Here's the thing though. If you don't care about the fold-away bed situation, you don't have to do it. This is only an optional function. If, for the most part, you're spending all your time outside and you don't want to have to flip the bed up and down, you don't have to. You can just leave the bed down all the time. Frankly, I know plenty of families that will just lounge down on the main bed, but some people don't necessarily like that. So we just give you the choice of folding the bed away if you want. Now, in terms of storage around here, being a little bit taller and a little bit wider allowed us to add a little bit of extra storage that you otherwise might not find in a similar model. First of all, this has a big, deep overhead cabinet. To give you kind of a reference point, let me turn one of these kind of sideways so you can see that there's some pretty good depth in there. But all of these totes we are actually including for you. So you don't have to go to Walmart or Amazon or Target to find stuff just to be able to store things in your camper. And if you want to come up with a different solution, you're absolutely more than welcome to. We wanted to give you something that kind of matched the decor and was functional right from the start. Now, this over here is also easy to miss when the bed is up, but it's kind of an additional dresser pocket storage. But one of the things that's also easy to miss is around that corner, there's what I call a little power pocket. There are a set of household outlets down in that little cubby, which can make a nice little spot to have like a private sort of phone charge station. But if I can direct your attention down below the bed right here, you'll see that even all the way below the bed, we utilize all the space we can. And to give you a place to keep yesterday's clothes and now that it's today, we actually include for you a handy little collapsible laundry basket, so that now that it's Tuesday and you were camping on Monday, you have a place to put the clothes instead of a big ugly pile on the floor. Now, whether it's for the kids, or maybe a sometimes guest, or for people who maybe have some irregular cargo, the rear double over double bunk arrangement offers a lot of different opportunities. Obviously, its primary focus is going to be sleeping, and we really have geared and tuned it for that. One of the key factors on this, though, is it does have separate upper and lower bunk curtains. That is an often overlooked and underappreciated feature, so the kids aren't fighting with the curtain. And if the kid on the lower bunk is trying to pull one big curtain, they have a method of pulling it down and ripping it out of the roof. And one of the goals that we had with this was, how can we engineer the service and warranty aspect out of the camper as much as reasonably possible? So that's one of the decisions that we went with right here. The bunks are definitely going to be able to hold pretty much anybody who can physically fit in there in terms of weight ratings. One of the other really good things, starting right up top here, is you'll notice how we gave you power outlets and little pockets for all the kids' devices, and airflow windows for both the upper and lower bunks. Again, that's one of those key details that if you've never camped before, you don't realize how useful and how important it is to always have visibility and airflow around your RV wherever possible. Now, some folks had asked us, can we get this without the bunks? It's only built in its current bunk arrangement, but we have definitely seen some people who choose to DIY remove the bunks and come up with a variety of different solutions, often creating their own little private desk space. That's definitely something that could be done after the fact. It's not like these bunks are preventing the walls from caving in or anything like that, but from the factory, this is the arrangement that it comes with. Now, back here in the bathroom, first of all, I want to give you a size reference. I'm a little bit over 6 foot tall, wearing some big, thick soled shoes. I'm probably standing somewhere around 6'2", 6'3" right now. One of the reasons I really like this model as compared to plenty of other builders who make something like this is that I don't have to duck in the shower. So if you're a little bit bigger person, that's one of the reasons that we made our Go Play series. We tried to offer something that almost nobody else was. Now, up here in the corner, it's a combination kind of vent fan and skylight. It's sort of doing two features in one, but it also has removed a giant hole in the roof, basically, which means we've removed a big leak point, and we've also helped with the heating and cooling efficiency in here. Another thing I've really noticed with my experience and listening to customers like yourselves, so many campers just don't even give you a place to hang a towel. That just seems so silly, and we didn't want to have that problem. Now, around the corner, it is more of a simple bathroom execution where you do have just kind of a mirror vanity against the wall, a basic sink setup right here. It is going to be just enough to wash adult-sized hands, but as you can see, you can even wash your hands while sitting on the toilet. I kind of call this like a 3S's bathroom, where you can sit, shower, and shave all in one. But the thing I think is probably one of the best aspects of the bathroom is literally just the bathroom door handle, and the fact that it actually can lock and give you some privacy back here where you really want it most. Now, in terms of heating and cooling, we have decided to bypass the more traditional side mount air conditioner you usually find in smaller, less expensive camper series to give you maximum cooling capacity. Up top on the roof, you have a larger and more powerful 13,500 BTU air conditioner. To give you a comparison, side mount air conditioners are usually between 5,000 to 8,000 BTUs. So this is potentially more than double the cooling capacity many other similarly sized campers have. Here's the thing I can tell you. I don't think you'll ever regret having a more powerful air conditioner. I think you could regret having a less powerful air conditioner, depending on where you camp, how you camp, and your seasonality. There's always a little bit of give and take between the two. And we actually still maintain, again, a totally traditional propane furnace for your RV. It sounds like a very mundane thing to talk about, but once again, if you start cross-comparing against other RVs that are in this size and class and price point, you'll run into some things that maybe only have an electric heater that requires you to be plugged into park power all the time, or else you don't have heat. And if you're going to be boondock disperse camping, unless you're going to run a generator all the time, you don't have heat. So we thought we'd just make it a little more flexible in that way, especially since the RV already has a propane system. It just made sense to integrate this. But we did keep all the heat vents and everything out of the floor. So everything is just simple, easy cleaning, and very pet friendly that way.